Good afternoon. This meeting will be going over the recent updates of March and April, as well as previewing some of the feature releases that we can anticipate being able to take a look at in a few short weeks in the sandbox. So in Alma, we've seen a couple of things that are useful. It's always nice to see things that actually apply to our uses. One of the things in analytics, they have added the loan measures to the physical item subject areas, which is great because now we don't have to try to um, pull a title list from physical items in as a filter to a circulation subject area report. So instead, they've got kind of a standard built-in measure dimension for physical items that will show the number of circs in-house, not in-house, or total for the past 2, 3, 4, 5, or more than 5 years. So that's a nice little interoperability that should clean up reports. So if you've got some that perhaps could benefit from that or need something rebuilt, please let me know. We also, they also noted the following bug fixes, which may or may not have actually worked, because I feel like we were having issues with some of this since March, but I may have forgotten the timeline. So remove titles from collection apparently wasn't working, which I'm pretty sure we knew. And the synchronize all logical collections job was kind of glitching and adding them right back in. Yeah. So they were things around collections were behaving oddly. Um, so if you were one of the collections, logical collections users, and you were noticing that, you might just take a look and see if it's working for you now, or if we need to start an Ex Libris ticket. Last month, they did this little change in a button title, which I think is good for clarity. It's not like a real functionality difference, but on the physical holding search result page, instead of it just saying create logical set, the button now says create and filter set. So don't be too confused. Basically, it's just to create the set, and then it'll kind of lead you through the manage sets menu, I'm guessing. So those were some of the small updates that I noticed in the notes. Coming in May, there were a couple of things that I saw. There will be additional providers supported by the automatic upload of electronic holdings feature, and that's going to include JSTOR books as well as Sage. It's three. I don't think anyone uses the pre-select as a vendor. But so if you want to get that set up, you do have to work with Ex Libris to get them connected with the vendor, so they get the files and then they do the job, and they will upload your electronic holdings on a regular basis. And again, you might note it is for books. It's not for the archive collections. Another one for our catalogers, you will be able to save physical item templates. So if you like are creating records for books that you've gotten from faculty, maybe for course reserves. You can save a template that will pre-populate fields such as notes, item policy, material type, etc. So I definitely see that as being useful for trying to get non-library owned materials on course reserves, or trying to get large like equipment bulk stuff created. So that was kind of nice. They've added a little bit to the history of version for management tags. So if you're looking in a record at its history, you'll be able to see when and by whom the record was suppressed or unsuppressed. So, like if you're going in, you're like, why was this suppressed? Like we still have this subscription, or, like I'm staring at this book right now, and it exists. Um, it can, it will support that history. This one was interesting, and I wasn't entirely sure how uh like why it was even a suggested change, because the ability to design analytics, like, yeah, designing analytics and not saving it can create a pretty like messy analytics folder, but they could just make it easier to delete those or move them. And instead they're like, no, let's give more granular permissions. So I guess starting in May, you'll be able to assign limited subject areas. However, the general design analytics role will still exist. And if that's the one you have, it will override any of the more granular ones. So I'll be curious to see what those look like in production. And then finally, this one is honestly going to be amazing for me, although I'll probably still break it more often than not because I try and log into multiple environments at the same time. But a user will be able to open multiple tabs in the Alma environment at the same time. Let me go ahead. Thanks, Jennifer. I will share the link to the document. And this document is in our open calls folder. So if you have, if you need that link, I can share that too. So none of these are huge changes for Alma. And there wasn't like a whole lot else that I saw that was of note. But once that goes live in the sandbox, if there's anything that kind of pops up or gets some chatter on the listservs, I'll probably bring it to another open call. Primo, there's a couple of things that I was looking at that the roadmap says that they were supposed to maybe happen in the future releases for February or May. And it's unclear whether they were part of February. Like, I definitely feel like this CDI subject normalization was. However, I mean, we literally just talked about this last week. And so maybe the beta testers did get access to this one because Primo V tends to do a lot of releases for super users and then trickle it down. And we are starting to see HTML coding for hyperlinks in these notes. But none of us have tested it, I don't think. So I think right now it's super users, but I'll definitely do some testing if I can figure out how to do it in a test view. And then I'm pretty sure this is not live, but also something that has been asked for a long time, the bulk export of search results. Supposedly, when this goes live in Primo V, at the top of the search results page in the little bar, along with, like select and save or whatever, it'll be like export all results. So that will be nice. It's something that has been asked for, because otherwise the only way to like save things was to individually select, have your account, log into your account, save it there. And then if your account was purged and brought back, you lost all of that. Or if there was a weird update, you lost all of that. So a few fairly nice updates coming to Primo that we'll need to keep our eye on when they actually go live. And a few variously useful, depending on your role, updates for Alma. Um, I do want to ask if anyone has an opinion on CDI enhancements. We do have access to 100 votes as a consortium that I can allot. And if I get no feedback, I will go through and I'll just look at these. I might take a peek at what Orbis Cascade is thinking about. There's a few other consortiums who kind of post like, here's what we're going to vote on. But if you have a chance and wouldn't mind taking a look at these 10 CDI enhancement items and telling me, like, hey, here's my top 3, or here's my top 2, then I can use that to make our votes. And correct me if I'm wrong. Kirsty, you guys have your own Eluna.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like, that's one of my long-term plans of getting us into Orbis Cascade, where we would have to maintain our own eLuna subscription anyways.
Oh, so Kirsty will be also having to do these votes. Do your libraries weigh
Except
in
I
very
haven't
much?
we haven't participated in the voting for the last few years because I've just been too overwhelmed.
Yeah, I'm not consistent with it, but this came through, and since it was only 10 things, I was like, I can review 10 things. That seems manageable. Uh,
Yes.
uh, so yeah, that's what I've got. I am kind of surprised that Primo doesn't have their May sneak peek ready yet. Um, I'll Alma does, so I'll probably throw a link in here with the May feature release sneak peek, and what date those will be in the sandbox. I want to say it's like a week from now, sometime like after the 22nd of April. So I'll send out a little announcement, or we'll discuss before um, the Eluna trip, because then I think it goes live May 5th. Um, so yeah, not a ton for this afternoon. Tomorrow morning, yes, I did see this. Someone put in chat. George put in the chat that the Amazon and Alma have been working on a browser add-on that will allow the harvesting of metadata and create the order. So if you use Amazon for ordering, you might want to give a heads up to your acquisitions purchasing person, about that browser add-on. So that was really cool, but I wasn't sure quite how many people, well, probably actually a lot of you use Amazon just because you're not doing giant orders. So yeah, we'll have to test that out. I'd love to see it in action. So yeah, I'll add George's comment, so we've got that one listed as well. And yeah, so it's I don't know, it feels like it's a small feature release. And I honestly, can't remember if that's true for like every May release, since they've only been doing this quarterly feature release plan for about a year and a half now. It, may just be kind of the cycle of development. However, it was disappointing that they didn't have more notes at this point for the Primo one. But tomorrow, I have on our schedule a forum, which is really just, let's say, discussion, because I'm not going to have a prepared like content or anything, but would like to just get conversation going about weeding and deselection. So your philosophies, your published policies, your workflow when something gets weeded, your dream goals of how many items you would like to weed from your collection. Really anything you'd like to bring for discussion tomorrow. I do have some resources because I was in process of trying to weed slash redistribute at least a third of the reference collection at Whitworth because it was taking up valuable real estate. It was dated, and it things had been kind of improperly added to reference that didn't need to be reference only, but that's a totally different philosophical discussion. But I'm eager to hear how folks tackle those projects, and see where we might provide support to each other, especially around, the language that we use to communicate these projects to our stakeholders, persnickety faculty, what you do with the weeded materials, if people are, doing better world books, if you're putting them in surplus, etc. So that is our tomorrow at 10 a.m. Discussion. And then hopefully I'll have some follow-up information on the feature releases, especially for Primo, but Alma once it's in the sandbox. So any other comments or questions, suggestions, things you want me to follow up on? All right. Well, then the link for the CDI enhancement ballot is down at the bottom of these notes, and I can share, in case you don't have the link for the open calls folder. There's the Alma Primo calls folder link, and it's just organized by year, and some of them are dated with notes, and then others I've just given them titles. So if you have a chance and can take a look, that is open from today until May 3rd. I will probably try not to wait until May 3rd because we have LLC the very next week, and then I go straight into the Aluna conference. Abby?
Hey, I, I missed her. I was like taking notes. If we want to vote for one of these CDI enhancements, do we email you? How does that work?
Yeah, so we have as a consortium, we have the Eluna membership, and so we are allotted 100 votes to distribute how we would like. And there's various philosophies around that. Orbis Cascade basically takes everybody's votes, asks everybody to tell the central office, like, what are your top three? And then only take the top three of everybody's top threes and put all of the consortium votes on those three things, because they have a ton of votes. And so if they like consolidate to one thing or two things, it gets, significant movement. 100 votes is not a lot. I would say, like, I'll probably pick two things and just, I might go 60-40, but I'll probably do just 50-50. But depends on if anybody has feedback that, really sparks conversation about it. But yeah, if you have something you would like to throw support behind, you can email me which one. And you can just say, like, throw all the eggs in the number 8211 basket. If that's what you're like, that's what we need. But yeah. All right. Well, if anything comes to you that you want to have me take a look at, please feel free to email me, and share the word with anyone who is involved in weeding or deselection, that we will be having that discussion tomorrow morning. And anyone is welcome to join us as usual, and we will record that. And maybe I'll even be able to take some notes if we get good conversation going and some resources, so we can put that together for people. So yeah, I will stop recording and